Alright, so I'm back, and today we're going to do viewer responses, or my responses and stuff to the comments from the San Diego Comic Con video earlier in this week. So we'll just get right into it. We've got a lot to cover because there was a lot of comments. So starting off, Alex Dalton says, I think he commented before, but this is the first comment on the thing. Also, if all we're getting is repaints and Titan figures for the next few years, it's a good thing I start getting into Gundam. Also, if they aren't making the Beast Combiners or Computron, then Combiner Wars needs to be put down. I responded actually, and I said it really should. This is going to get stupid really fast. Meaning, if they're not doing the Combiners, what are they going to do? I mean, out of this next wave of the Autobot Combiners, I would have much rather seen Computron come out. I mean, you'd think that the core plan of Combiner Wars is to do the Combiners. Just a thought. And then he responded with, "There's potential left in Combiner Wars, though. Hasbro said that they wouldn't be doing Beast Combiners or the rest of the Technobots, but they might still make out of the Japanese Combiners, like Leo Kaiser. It's unlikely, but still a possibility. Probably not. I mean, just probably not. Jeff says, well, there's the goal. There's the goal for third parties, more combiners. But with Beast and these new connectors, doubt it. Doubt it. Third parties going masterpiece. Yeah, pretty much. Your only option for combiners that will scale with the Hasbro ones are Make Toys and Fans Project. I'm not the biggest fan of their combiners. I mean, I like them. They look great when they're put together, but they're so fiddly and it's such a pain in the ass. And their detail is so much far above what Hasbro's putting out. You're gonna have one or two figures sitting there that don't fit in. But then again, Hasbro scale is all over the place because they do combiners in every other scale. Then Devastator all of a sudden is much bigger. Sammy Turnage says, this is exactly why I jumped to Masterpiece and third party now. I will admit I'm still getting Skylinks, and I might get the G2 Superion and Minosaur if they release upgrade kits. Other than that, I'm out of Hasbro until Titan Wars. My one fear is Fortress Maximus will be a repaint of Metroplex. If it is true, it won't really be Fortress Max because it doesn't transform the same way. Yeah, but at the same time, Metroplex kind of pulls off the city mode a little bit better than Fortress Maximus did, because most of Fortress Maximus city modes is you lay him down on his stomach, and that's city mode. So I don't know. It would have to be a heavy retool to make that even remotely work. And then he also says, if they keep repainting Metroplex, we might get Metro Titan. But I can't see them doing Scorponok or Trypticon because they will need new molds. So we might get our first new Titan class figure, even though it is not what we want. If I'm right, we want Scorponok, Trypticon, and Omega Supreme. Omega Supreme, I guess we could put him in the Titan class. Now I could see, if done right, and by done right I mean like some of the deluxes in the Combiner Wars, how heavily retooled those are. If they retooled the Metroplex into Fortress Maximus, like heavy retooling, that could potentially work, and then they could also do Scorponok as well like that. Heavy retooling, including giving him a tail. Very unlikely, but I don't think we'll get a Triptychon out of that. Or maybe they could build a Triptychon out of a heavy retooled Scorponok, or vice versa. I don't know what to expect out of this. I mean, there's not a whole lot Titan class figures, unless maybe they're gonna redo all the combiners in the Titan class, like Devastator, which I really doubt. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Which, I mean, you know, one of the things I always wanted to do if I ever was a third-party company is just upscale and downscale figures. Because, like, the Masterpiece Prowl, for example, you can downscale that, simplify the hands a little bit, and you get yourself a pretty good Classics Prowl. But if Hasbro were to just take, like, their Combiner Wars figures that are out now and just upscale them to Titan class, that would be pretty cool. Anyway, maybe that's what they're planning on doing with Predicate. We'll get into that in a little bit more here. Pojo 1975 says, great rant of the week. Thank you. Alex Dalton says, Rook equals nose cone, dead end equals light speed, groove, afterburn, air raid, strife. All of those would fit with new heads and a few new parts. I said, I know, right? Why aren't they doing that? Because they're stupid. Alex then says, the problem with that is that it would mean 12 uses of the dead end mold. Retro Robot Radio then says, I'd say Brawl of the Combaticons is nose cone, since they're both tanks with treads on their arms and body builds. Perhaps they delayed them because they're doing so many repaints right now. They can be released in Titan Wars, which is a good point. They could be holding off some of these things for Titan Wars. We don't really know much about Titan Wars at this point, so it's kind of hard to say what they're planning on doing. Alex then says, yes, but the Rook mold has the hole in the front of the vehicle mode, which could accommodate the drill accessory, which could also peg into the holes on the fist. Okay. Retro Robot replies to him. These two kind of go back and forth for a little bit. Retro says, true, I think Brawl is a similar hole on the back. They could just remold it to point the other direction in vehicle mode. Or they could place the drill on the turret. I guess it depends on what you mean by that. If you're putting it like out of the barrel of the turret or replacing the turret. Replacing the turret, I could see that, but I don't know. He also says, honestly, I don't care about the number of repaints as long as they work for each time as they're used. Also, I think they have figured out how to use them mold as many times as they want. They made these molds to last. We'll see. Because they're going to be putting these to the test. I know they re-engineered their mold making to make them last a little bit longer. But we'll see. That's the only thing I can say. We'll see. Because I know, like, Transformers Prime Bumblebee near the end there, he's starting getting a little loose and fidgety. Anyway, Alexson says, true. But that wasn't my point. Do you really want 12 versions of the dead end mold? I'm saying that if they keep using molds over and over again, fans will lose interest. Retro then says, I don't really want the Takara version since they are not intended for our market. And I would have to import them to get them. And Hasbro made their own versions. They don't really count for me. Okay, that's fair enough. I own the mold as Dead End and Streetwise now. I plan to get the announced G2 Dead End, Prowl, and Smokescreen. I would also like to get it as the G2 Streetwise, Blue Streak, and Jazz. If they could make before I continue on, Blue Streak yes, Jazz no for me, because I would like them to do a new mold for Jazz. I know that's asking a lot, but I really hate the breakdown mold, and I don't think Jazz should look like Prowl and the others, but I really hate that dead end mold, or breakdown mold. If they club, I think he meant if the club did Shattered Glass Prowl, I'd get that too, since he was hinted at in the comics. That would be the best mold for him. So that's 9 of them I'd happily buy. Alexson says that's still a lot of one mold. I just mean people in general will eventually get tired of buying the same figure over and over. Retro then says only collectors will even notice. Buy the ones you want, skip the rest. It's still a step up Hasbro releasing 12 versions of the same mold and as the same character, aka movie Bumblebee. Yes. Oh my god, that got ridiculous. It's like, okay, can we get a cliff jumper? No, just stealth Bumblebee, red Bumblebee, blue Bumblebee, gold Bumblebee. Alex says, okay, good point. You're right, but my point still stands. Hasbro shouldn't be making so many repaints. I'm kind of more on Alex's side on this conversation, but at the same time, I see where Retro's coming from. I would like to see, I mean, if they're going to release the molds more, that's fine. But look at Dead End to Streetwise. The heavy retooling is there. It's awesome. It's really good. So if they could give us a couple more versions of the retooling, I think that alone will be enough to offset the mold. Because Streetwise standing next to Dead End, if you look closely, you'll realize, yeah, it's the same mold. But from afar, they look nothing alike. And that's pretty cool. So if they could throw in some more engineering, new heads, obviously, and most importantly for me, new weapons. They need new weapons. They can't recycle the same fucking weapon. It gets really redundant really quickly and very apparent that they're repaints of each other if they're getting the same gun over and over and over and over again. Okay, sorry. Okay. Matthias Orcabus. I have new sunglasses, so bring on the G2 stuff. And, Scattershot and Beta Maxitron, or whatever the fuck. Can you get any more lazy Hasbro? Think the Matrix there is Takara. Oh yeah, I forgot about the poinsettia of doom, that dumbass thing we should have Brilla bumps on it so even the blind can laugh. Oh, Braille bumps on it so even I think he's talking about the fembots. Yanin says those MP28 pictures were not from Takara. It was from an online seller. He also made pictures of MP28 Galvatron, Scorponok, and Wally. LOL. All 4 pics came out at the same time. That being said, Hound is probably the best bet. I think the Hound actually came out first, and then like the next day the rest of them came out, and they're like, oh yeah, it could be any one of these. But I believe that was the same guy that announced the Bumblebee and Ultra Magnus last Christmas, like Christmas 2013, and Takara's over there like, oh, okay, I guess they broke the news because everybody started putting up for pre-orders. TFWise Maki 102 says, can or will you make a playlist of your rants of the week videos? I could probably do that. Ebony Leopard says, the tears of the old over toys shall forever keep me young. Mirage XL 007 says, funny. I like your vids in general because of the similar views on some things. And when you mentioned the new Fembot Victorian or whatever, I suddenly became nauseated. Like the first time and every time I've seen it or heard something about it now. Yes. That thing's horrible. Will I buy it? Yes, of course I'm going to buy it. Yeah, it's going to go right in the garbage chute, but I will buy it and review it. Six Shot Changer Review says, I cannot agree more. I'm just not excited about any of this stuff. Only the third-party figures have got my juices flowing with dinos, combiners, and MP-style figures, all having lovely, unique molds. Sure, they ain't cheap, but you get what you pay for. Yeah. Yeah, that hits the nail right on the head. It's like, some of that stuff Hasbro puts out, don't get me wrong, the Brainstorm was amazing. A lot of people gave Roadbuster some shit, and even I did, but I still thought he was pretty decent. Rhinox, oh my god, Rhinox. But some of the other stuff they're putting out now, it's like, and like most people, Superion, he was great. Minosaur, the bots were great. And then Defensor came, and it's like, okay. Then you see what's coming up next, and it's like, it makes you hate the first few waves, in my opinion. Day Scott says, really hope they reconsider Computron. I thought these Fembots were going to be cool, but the colors are awful. The only good thing about them is that there isn't a hand, foot, gun, and feet have ankle tilt. Which, once he said that, I actually had to go look it back, and holy shit, he's right. They're different. They did new feet and new hands. I was like, Hasbro, actually putting some effort out? Touche. Sammy replies to him, leave Computron to Takara, forget Hasbro. Hasbro has dropped the ball on Transformers, and I seriously don't think they care about the brand anymore. Do you know one of the many reasons collectors like G1 toys? It was because the majority of them were made out of metal. It's been 30 years and these toys are still around. Not all, but a lot of them. Now look at today's Combiner Wars figures. They're hollow pieces of crap that will not stand the test of time. That is why Hasbro sucks. For the same price we had metal toy. Now, I'm not saying Transformers should be metal, but they shouldn't be hollow pieces of crap either. Thank goodness for third parties and Masterpiece. I agree with a lot of things Sammy always says, but this one, the main reason why they stopped doing the metal is one, metal parts meet plastic parts usually will kill the plastic. It strips gears pretty quickly. So it's not always the best engineering design. Also, the cost of metal went through the roof to the point where it's like, okay, in order to put metal into this, toy in the toy aisle, we have to charge a lot more. Then the cost of plastic skyrocketed ever since the whole and I'm not gonna go into a debate on any of the wars, but the whole Iraqi war thing, as soon as that thing started up, oil prices skyrocketed, which means plastics skyrocketed. So basically what you got here is you got your option. Either you pay $15 to $20 for the deluxe that are hollow, or we're going to have to go into the $30 market to get the same size deluxes with heavier plastics. That's the big problem. You can't keep figures the same size with the cost of plastic going up and not charge more. It's a kind of a supply and demand. I work in the hotel industry. If you call me up on a day I have 85 rooms to sell, I could catch you a deal. You call me and it's the last room available, chances are you're spending about $200 on that thing. So yeah, that's what that goes into. So yeah, it's just you can't do everything. All right. Ultron 563 says, yeah, this was really underwhelming. The G2 repaints are cool, but not for me. I don't think Victorian looks as bad as you say she is, but I'm not too crazy about it. Scattershot pisses me off, not for myself, but for the Computrons fans. I personally can live without one, but I know there are tons of people who want him, and instead we get a cock tease. Yeah, that's true. Now it's like, okay, if you want a Computron in that scale, you have to get Make Toys. He gets a new head and a whole new alt mode, but the torso mode is just superior on why. Reason why is, the torsos back in the day weren't all that different from one another, so I don't see too much of an issue there. I thought that was kind of a fitting looking torso mode. Too bad it doesn't come with anything else to make it Computron. The big differences on Computron are the shoulders and the legs. So, if you're going to retool, go all the way. I really hope this is all just a tease. The combiner is called Betatron, so maybe, just maybe, it's not the final product, and they are waiting until they can get their hands on the Takara Groove mold for Afterburner before they announce Technobots. But we'll see. No Beast combiners I kind of expected since the beginning. Well, at least we got the original 5. Trying to count the original 5. We got Superion, Defensor, Minosaur, Devastator, and that's it, right? Oh, and Bruticus. Yeah, we're getting Bruticus. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I guess we are getting the original 5. That's kind of cool. Transformers 758. Hasbro just ruining any reputation they had. The Combiner Wars show isn't a TV show, well, a normal one. It's made by Machinima. I don't know how to say that word. Who are a YouTube channel, media company thing, and making a DC animated film soon, but not much hope Combiner Wars show could be good. I could say Combiner Wars was the worst of IDW in a long time, and not many people would disagree, but it sounds interesting. I only bought Superion and regret getting him, so all of those people saying we're trying to justify third-party combiners are wrong, because I don't regret getting Giant or Ferrorex, but these lines seem to have made people very protective of Hasbro, and I don't understand why people care about a big corporation so much. There's one other great thing that's coming out of this Combiner Wars thing, is everyone's selling their Herculeses off cheap. I've seen probably about a dozen over the last week for about $300 or less. So that's insane. So if you, thanks to Hasbro, everyone's buying these the Combiner Wars Herculeses and selling off their third party ones, and now they're affordable rather than $600. Yeah. And same thing with the TFC Superion. I have to agree with you on pretty much everything there, because I'm not sitting here trying to justify third-party prices and third-party figures, because they are expensive. Yeah, they are bigger. But at the same time, when you talk about something like Warbitron versus the Hasbro Bruticus, there is no comparison. If you want, my rant of the week tomorrow that I'm going to do is toy versus collector's piece. But if you want a good collector piece for these combiners, then third party is the best way to go. Same with, like, if you're collecting Chug, then get the Chug stuff. But if you want a masterpiece and your best representation of Optimus Prime there is, get MP10. Don't get Combiner Wars Optimus. That thing's a piece of shit. Get MP10. Anyway, Rattrap25 says, just hope Takara can come for use of the Computron. I think what he's meaning is that, let's hope for Computron. Evan Hassanov, great video, John. I agree with every word you said. Setting the whole Combiner Wars phase out. Sitting the whole Combiner Wars phase out. Thanks for the video. Alright. Okay, Retro Robot Radio says, I wish we could hear the actual recording of the words used in the Q&A with Hasbro, because the devil could be in the details. It's always in the details. The exact wording of a question and answer are very important. They are in fact so important that the answer we hear online second and third hand are meaningless. For instance, when Hasbro supposedly said they have no plans for Beast Combiners, right? Did the guy ask something like, do you plan to make any Beast Combiners in the future? Or did he ask, do you plan to make any Beast Combiners for Combiner Wars? Because if Beast Combiners will come after the subline's name changes to Titan Wars next year, then they can say there are no Beast in Combiner Wars, even if they have Predaking or Abominus planned for late 2016. It's possible Scattershot was paired with some Autobot limbs to form Betatron because the deluxe Technobots could be planned for Titan Wars, the line they are not talking about yet. I'd assume the Titan Wars needs deluxes, right? You're right. It could have been exactly that. But it also could have been Hasbro saying, no, we're not doing it. It could go either way. It is to a point pointless. Now, I mean, like I've said this before, I think if they did one Beast Combiner, they could probably do all the Beast Combiners because they could retool that into the other beasts. Predaking can easily make Abominus, and then from there you can make the Seacons, and then from there you could probably retool them enough to make the Dino King or whatever it was, the Pretenders dinosaurs. I'm not very good with those myself. I know Fans Project's doing one now, but anyway, yeah, I mean, they could be doing all of these, or they could have said no, we have no plans for them in the near future, or no, we're not planning on it at all, just to get you off their back, because Hasbro's done that before, where they say, oh yeah, we're not planning on doing something like this. I think the last time they said that was they're not planning on bringing Starscream, Masterpiece Starscream over here, and here's Masterpiece Starscream, because money. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm not holding my breath on it, but if I'm wrong, awesome. I'll buy those. But I'm guessing not. Jacob Dartnett says maybe we'll get lucky and they'll make a Predaking as a Titan class figure for Titan Wars, and they just don't want to ruin the surprise. See, that's what I was saying. Stockroom 209 says we're going to get the best combiners yet. We're going to get Random Bots, Lazy Wave, Cheaposaur, and Repaintabots. I'm sorry. I actually haven't read most of these comments still just now. That's pretty good. Okay. Thank you. Oh, that was... Oh, I got a kick out of that one. Okay. Whew. I'm done with collecting Transformers. Actually sold everything. Only keeping my MP10 Prime. Been 3 years of collecting them. Got so damn tired of the prices and the excessive scalpers. The Combiner Wars wave truly shows what will be the next long-term, probably long, of figures to come. Like you said, I agree 100%. Happy to have experienced my childhood in an adult world, but enough is enough. You're the only one I will keep watching because it's rants like this that show off reality and not promoting figures to sell here. Keep up the great work. No, I try not to promote any figures unless I legitimately think they're good. So, but yeah. At least you kept your MP10. Maybe somebody will pull you back in at some point. But yeah. Yeah. Thanks for watching my videos and making me laugh. That was pretty good. Okay. Burner XR. Edited. I feel like the worst part about this whole situation with Combine Wars is that the vast majority of the Transformer fans really, really wanted it to succeed and capture the feeling they had when they were kids. I was one of those people. I really wanted this to hit home. I really wanted this to be the big thing. I wanted this to be okay, Hasbro has throwing down the gauntlet with the third parties, and right now it is just showcasing how much different third party and Hasbro can be. And when it boils down to good or bad, it's pretty bad. And at the start, it felt like we were coming really close to that. From the release order of the combiners to the overall look of the figures they were trying to capture, it felt very nostalgic. The first 3 teams were perfect, weren't perfect, but for the price, they more than did the job. That is up until the new Devastator. It was so big and cheap, I feel his only use might be as a prop for Masterpiece scale Dinobots to fight with. Up until him, they were in scale with each other and were different enough from each other to be acceptable. I don't really care about making combiners or characters who weren't ones before. They're going to try and make as much money as they can from each mold. I simply will be picking the ones that catch my fancy instead of getting whole teams anymore. But when it comes to the original 8 combiner teams, they need to at least go to the trouble to retool the mold between the figures. At least as much as they did between figures like First Aid, Off-Road, Dead End, Sideswipe, Rook, Hound, Swindle. I can even understand limiting the differences between Slingshot and Firefly, Wild Ride, Dead End, Alpha Bravo, and Blades to only head change and a repaint. It makes me feel a little used and ripped off, but I still understand. The Bruticus, though, is so disappointing. The lack of any retooling on Vortex or Blast Off is a minimal. Retooling for Onslaught is just about unacceptable. When it comes to Scattershot, they could still be pulling a switcheroo by taking off the Superion head they're using for this Betatron and giving us a Computron head instead. But if it's true and they won't be giving us Computron, Abominus, or Predaking, or Classic Scale Devastator, then I will be beyond disappointed with Hasbro. And I don't think I'll be alone in feeling that way. That was the last one. But, in closing, to agree with you, the Devastator not scaling with the rest of the combiners is really, really bad. That's bad form. That is just bad form. I'm not going to bash the Devastator. I don't like the way it looks. I am going to buy it. I am going to review it, and I'm going to give it an honest review. If it turns out to be a gem, I'm going to tell you, it's a gem. Get it. If it turns out to be crap, I'm going to tell you it's crap. But I'm not holding my breath because of the fact that it's so out there on scale with the rest of the combiners. In the original show, there was never a time where Devastator was that much bigger than the other combiners. Yes, he was in the best episode to watch. Is Starscream's Brigade, the first episode with Bruticus, because you see Bruticus throw down with Devastator. Not only does Bruticus beat Devastator, but you also see that Bruticus comes up to about here on Devastator. He is bigger. There's no doubt about it. But he's not twice the size. So Hasbro should have either made them all Titan class or made them all Deluxe class. I would have loved to see a Devastator in scale with the rest of them and just add another figure. Maybe 2 Voyagers for the torso. Then yeah, he would be bigger than the others, but not by that much. Or do Titan class for everybody. It really should not have been one figure, one set in Titan class and one set, and the rest in regular class. It doesn't fit. I had a rant of the week a while ago about this, a scale. How certain companies don't keep their scale in for the same figures. TFC is notorious with it. It's like, it's like everybody's getting a little bit bigger than Hercules, to the point where now you need a new, different Hercules, a bigger Hercules to make that work. And it doesn't sit well with me to sit there and see certain figures in a line like this be that so much bigger, and to be so much bigger and not have the posability that the smaller figures have. I mean, Scrapper has no elbows. It is just, I mean, it's shocking. Had those all been deluxes, I probably would have forgiven it. I probably would have forgiven it. And you can't tell me they couldn't have engineered that as a deluxe. The whole set could have been engineered as deluxe figures, and they probably could have charged the same amount of money, and people still would have bought it and still would have been raving about it or ranting about it. I mean, I don't think the size was that important to make it that big. And then like he said, and like I'm saying, you get into the situation where it's just too big to fit with the rest of the figures in its own goddamn line. I don't like it. It doesn't make sense. Hasbro failed utterly with that. And as far as the San Diego Comic-Con goes, I think Transformers just got the short end of the stick, because they've been making sure the third-party companies can't go to these shows. So it was very unfortunate, because I'm sure third party had a whole bunch of stuff they've been sitting on. And I know TFCon is this weekend, Toronto, I think it is. So perhaps we'll get some new news from there. I know Skullface is up there, and there's posting pictures on Facebook. So I'm hoping he gets a video up so that I can see that. But I haven't really seen any coverage on it, so I can't do a rant on that. I will, however, be going to the TFCon in Charlotte, North Carolina, in October, so I will be there. I'm probably going to be bringing some cameras and laptops and seeing if I can get some footage. I'm not entirely sure on how the rules go for just being a regular person, because I'm not that big reviewer yet. So nobody's reached out to me and said, hey, you should do this, and you should do this, and you should do this, and you can do this. You can see these figures first. And nobody's ever reached out to me, and I don't think they ever will, because I'm an asshole. But yeah, we'll see. And last thing before I go is Monday I will be announcing the next raffle. And starting on Monday, I'm going to start posting the raffles link, because I created a Facebook page for the raffles. So each time I do a raffle, it's going to have all the rules. And just, you just go on there, like the page, and we'll start doing this on a more regular basis. But a big thing to ask all of you is to spread the word on the raffles once I get the videos up for the raffle, because the more people that get into the raffle, that buy into the raffle, one, the faster we can buy the figure, because I can't buy the figure until we do the raffle, or until I get enough money to buy the figure. And two, if we have a ton of people buying into tickets, then we can get more of the same figure. So rather than having one Perceptor, we could have, if enough people pulled in, we could have had 5 or 6 Perceptors to give away. So the more people we get into this idea, the faster we'll raise the money, and the more money we get overall, and then we can get all sorts of figures out there. So yeah, there's that. So let's do it. Let's get it done. Spread the word like wildfire. I am horrible at marketing, so I'm trusting you guys to get it done for me. Every time my boss asks me, hey, how's the marketing going for the hotel? I go, what? I'm not marketing, I'm operations. I don't know what you're talking about. Not my forte. Not at all. at all. So, anyway, that's it.